Created live on Fireside.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Athletic Definition. I'm your host, Coach Ray Z. I'm covering the latest sports and fitness trends around the world today. I'll be covering some boxing, NFL, effects of sitting down all day, some UFC, and NBA. And be sure to stick around because at the very end, I'm going to be talking about the people's champ. That's right, The Rock. He has been called out. Make sure you stick around. That'll be my last topic. I'm going to start off with it's Hispanic Heritage Month. The NFL decided to do a tribute to, I think they're calling it Por la Cultura. And because of Por la Cultura, they decided to put a little ñ on top of the N of the NFL. They did this yesterday on the tweet, which I understand like the whole, well, I really don't like it because one, they spelled it wrong. We don't say NFL, we say NFL. And people are making fun of it all over Twitter. They're saying it's kind of like The Office, where the guy put a little ñ on top of the N for the lemonade to make it a Mexican drink. They did just so many funny tweets regarding it. Sometimes the comments are better. The fact that they spelled it wrong, the fact that they just did it, it looks like they did it really, really quick. And to me, that's kind of part of the problem with giant companies like that feel that they're like too woke and want to be inclusive and they don't really actually care. They're just doing it for promotion. I give the NFL a big thumbs down for the ñ logo that they did for Hispanic heritage. And moving on to the next story is about sitting down all day and how it affects you. Now, I don't like basically they didn't survey too many people. They were from like I believe Sweden and most of them were Caucasian males. But more and more tests are being done and studies, and it's showing that if you sit down all day, it doesn't really help you. It was, and I don't like this term that they're using, another woke term. It's called active couch potato. So they say if you work out for 30 minutes a day and then the rest of the time you're in front of your computer or sitting down, that really it's actually not benefiting you at all. When you break it down, 1 hour of your day is 4% of your day. So if you're doing 30 minutes, that's only 2% of your day. I don't see how you can be an active couch potato. I don't like that term, but really we just need to get more exercise. And if you're just doing the bare minimum, I'm not sure if you're going to see any results that you would be satisfied. Growing up, I was lazy and I would do things half ass. And I remember one manager one day told me, "Do you take a shit and not wipe your ass?" And he was basically trying to tell me, don't do things half ass. Do it or don't do it at all. And I got to say, I agree. Being within Hispanic Heritage Month, which I kind of agree with George Lopez. He said he doesn't like that term because anything with the word panic and Hispanic is not a good thing. Canelo Alvarez will be fighting Triple G. This will be their trilogy. Canelo's looking to rebound off his last fight, which he lost. He went up and I give him credit. He took on a bigger fighter than him and really couldn't do nothing to him. This is probably like the first time where I saw Canelo not have the power because he seems to be outpowering all of his other opponents. And then Triple G and the fight's tomorrow. It's going to be at the T-Mobile Arena pay-per-view through the DAZA. And Triple G, I believe that's his only loss. So he's going to be looking to avenge it. Triple G is now 40 years old with a record of 42-1-1. I actually think he won the first fight between Canelo, and the second one was close. More people, from what I heard, and have told me that they think Canelo won the second one. So this will be a good one. They both really need it. I think for his legacy, he definitely needs to win Triple G, and Canelo needs it as well. So that should be an interesting fight. Next up is shy girl workouts are trending on TikTok. And according to this study, it says that 50% of people deal with anxiety of going to the gym, that it could be intimidating. And I completely understand. I worked at many different gyms, and some of the people that I talked to, I'm like, why don't you go to the gym? They're like, I just don't know how to use any of the machines and I don't feel comfortable. So this girl, she goes by Shy Girl Workouts and it's starting to trend. She just basically shows workouts you could do at home or at the gym without really any knowledge. And I would say to anybody who does feel intimidated or is shy, because I'm I'm an introvert, even though it may not seem like it with having my own podcast. You can learn all kinds of different workouts now just through social media, TikTok, YouTube. So don't let it stop you there. That could get your beginning, your foot in the door to start working out. And then as you get more into it, keep researching, keep looking. You'll keep learning about, nutrition. That's big as far as working out properly so you don't injure yourself. And if you see something that looks really, really cool on TikTok or IG Reels, I recommend don't do it, because usually the things that people want to do is is what looks really cool, and usually the people doing that have been working out for years, so they've developed that strength. And basically it's just so that you could keep working out. Everyone's at a different level. If you feel that you can do it, then go for it. I don't want to be a dream killer either. Dana White, I don't know if anyone saw the UFC 279. He's basically blasting everybody who said that the card was switched around because, according to what we read on the media, there was this giant brawl and it was really crazy and mayhem broke out. So they ended up changing the main event, the co-main event. They switched all the fights around because I always mispronounce his name, but he didn't make weight. So because he didn't make weight, I always mess up his name. He didn't get to fight Diaz. Both fights were very entertaining. Some people say the fights actually turned out better, but I do find it very interesting. And I did think it was kind of fishy that when they finally released the tape or video of one fighter who recorded on his phone, it didn't even look like mayhem. It was like Diaz throwing a water bottle and they were just talking shit to each other, but there wasn't like no big brawl. And according to Dana White, which I'm like, it just doesn't seem right. He was saying that they didn't have enough security. I'm like, this is UFC 279. How how amateur is it for you not to have enough security? What did you think? You already have 278 UFCs that you've done. You should know how much security you need. Brandon Shaw was saying, who's a former fighter for UFC, and he left when they made a deal with Reebok because he said basically when that happened, you couldn't get any more sponsorship deals, put it on your shorts. So for the fighters, they said they lost a lot of money with not being able to do that. So he ended up leaving. Dana White made fun of him. He actually didn't think he could make more money off sponsors. He ended up showing proof that he made more money off sponsorships. And now he has a podcast with a comedian. I can't remember his name. Sometimes you see him on Joe Rogan. Brandon Shaw was saying that he heard that the pay-per-views, which UFC does not release the numbers, that they weren't selling good. And Dana White calls him like an idiot and all this stuff, saying that he should know better, that he used to fight. But he never really answered the question, Dana White. He said that the arena was sold out, which is true. But Brandon Shaw was never talking about the arena, the actual fight tickets to go watch the fight. He was talking about the pay-per-view, that the pay-per-view was not doing good. The people didn't like the main event. And so because of that, that supposedly they faked everything. And that's why they changed all the fights around, and just to make the pay-per-view buys bigger. Dana White says that they're regulated by the athletic commission, and so that they wouldn't do that. Just they are being investigated. We'll see what happens. Really quite sure, but Dana White has one more story with me later. But before we get to that, Michael Jordan's jersey from the 1998 NBA Finals just sold at an auction for a record $10.1 million. He topped all the latest athletes to have been selling their jerseys. Prior to that, the biggest selling jersey went for $9.28 million, and that was to the legend Diego Maradona, the Hands of God jersey from the 1986 World Cup. This is all according to ESPN, and I'll include the articles that I got all the stories from in the show notes if you want to read the entire article. And according also to ESPN, that beats the previous record for the most expensive jersey bought. The previous record before that was held by Kobe Bryant at $3.69 million, which sold last year as well. I love memorabilia, And I'll be doing a show next week on sports memorabilia and NFTs because that's how I know a lot of people aren't into NFTs, but if you bought any sort of jersey, hat, collectibles, that's pretty much what it is. Back then with baseball cards or basketball cards, some of them you would just buy a pack. Some cards would be worth it. Some cards would you just throw it away. And it's kind of like that with NFTs now. You can go buy an NFT and maybe it'll be worth it. It'll be worth it to you if you like the player. And then some of them are not going to pan out. But that's kind of pretty much what's going on now. No one really thought that a jersey would sell for $10 million. And now look at a jersey's being sold for $10 million. The last story here is Terence Mckinney calls out The Rock. So The Rock just made a new shoe deal with Under Armour. He's like the partner. He's been partnering with them, but now they partnered to be the official shoe, which is the Rock Under Armour shoe with the UFC. And none of the fighters are getting any money from it. So as I mentioned earlier, Brandon Shaw was upset because Reebok, after that, they couldn't make any money. Well, then they made a new deal with Venom and they get paid by tiers. They don't really get like a actual cut of it, of the merchandise. I'm sure for the bigger stars, they probably sell more merch, so they probably make different deals. Or I'm not actually too sure. I'll probably have to dig into that more. He got called out and he's like, if you enjoy watching us, why don't you go up to bat for us and help us out? Help out the fighters? Because only the main, like in pretty much everything, the top of the top will make a lot of money and the rest won't. And you have to pay a lot of times for your training camp and nutrition, and that all adds up, recovery. So I know it's very expensive because as an amateur athlete, I'm always paying for entrance fees, and it can definitely add up, especially if you're not sponsored. Anybody who goes into the octagon or boxing is pretty much putting their life on the line each time. I think that they deserve the pay. And I've always liked The Rock, and he calls himself the people's champ. So I hope he actually responds. He hasn't responded yet. Nate Diaz also came out on the interview and said, he basically said they look like shit and that the UFC made him wear them on UFC 279. So he got called out by a couple fighters now, and they just want to get more pay. I appreciate everybody being in the audience. If anybody would like to come up and give a comment on any news story that I mentioned, it's a lot more sports this time. The fitness trends, I was looking and looking, and not too many fitness trends this week. I'm always kind of just looking up for myself, and then I decided to share it. And then I can tell as a podcast, people seem to like the news. I thought I would jump on here today. It's possible I might do a show tomorrow. If I do, I'll give you a little sneak peek about what it'll be. It'll be about strange but true fitness facts, which I've been writing down a couple, and I think they're pretty interesting, and we'll see how that one works out. Next week on Friday, I will be doing sports and NFTs. I keep diving deeper and deeper into it. I kind of started, I would say, sometime last year, kind of getting into. I'm not at the cryptocurrency. I have more questions than answers, and each time I learn more, I have more questions as far as cryptocurrency. But I bought my first NFT website last year, and since then, I'll buy one like maybe a month, little by little. And I think I have about 15 of them now. They're all sports related. Everything's changing and will continue to change. It's not going to stop. So I decided to learn more about it. To me, it was one of the easier ways to get into this new Web3. And if you want, I'll put it on the show notes as well. You could use my unstoppable domain discount, where if I think it has to be $40 or more. And if you don't want to spend $40, you don't have to. There's blockchain FT websites that you can buy Unstoppable for $10, $20, and it's a one-time fee. You keep it forever, unlike the normal websites. Because I just actually created athleticdefinition.com. It's out now. It's got a lot of work. I'm turning more techie than I was planning to, but I run the whole show. I do all the production, I do all the research, and I run the websites and the NFT websites as well. So I'm learning, just trying to make it better. The whole website and how to just make it look more appealing. I started my website and then I'm like, I got to learn more. And as I'm learning more, I'm like, well, I can't get behind on what's going on in Web3. I'll be doing the whole sports, learning more about it. And maybe in the future, I can get some guests regarding how much money they're making, like LeBron's James, replay. I think it sold for $203,000, which is a lot of money. And it sometimes certain niches are what pushes a modern technology to be more accepted. And it could be sports that helps push it from, well, I'm not exactly sure what an NFT is, to it being more acceptable, or more where everybody kind of knows what it is and how it works. I will be doing that next week. I will be also be doing Drunks is back. My co-host has been a busy father, but that's the show where we do a beer review and we talk about how you earned your beer, because we're both athletes who like to work out. And let's see, that one will be on the 19th. And then I will actually, yeah, this Monday. We will be reviewing Brewery X, which is from Anaheim. If you have that beer, you're more than welcome to hop up with us. Let us know what you think. I believe you could find that nationally. And then next week, I'm hoping to return also, since it is Hispanic Heritage Month. If you speak Spanish, I have a Spanish show on here as well. And I bring in guests and we just talk about their story. So also be working on other guests as well. So thank you everybody for joining me. Sonia, Lily, let's see, Renee, Waitbot, Kevin, Woody, and everybody who's listening on Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, and who will listen on the podcast and replay. I appreciate you. I think this is episode 141. So I will be back either tomorrow with a special little show, and if not, you will see me next week. Thank you, everybody. My name is Coach Ray Z, Athletic Definition, and I'm out.